Good evening and welcome back, everybody. I got some stuff to be able to show you this week. Just wanted to kind of react, obviously, as many people have done already in the YouTube community, to the Hall of Fame announcement. Actually was really pleased to see former Cardinal and obviously former Philly, Toronto Blue Jay, and also Cincinnati Reds Scott Rowland get into the Hall of Fame this week. Mostly because I am a fan of the Cardinals, even though the White Sox are my primary team. And if they were playing head-to-head, I would definitely pull for the White Sox. But they're definitely my National League team, as I told many times before on this channel. So Scott Rowland was part of World Series teams in 2006 for the Cardinals, and I think he even maybe was part of the team in 2004. I could be wrong about that one. They didn't win that World Series, of course. They lost to Boston, but I believe he might have been on the team without actually looking at his stats right now in front of me. But, Scott was a solid third baseman. You couldn't have found a better fielding first baseman in his time, and when he was healthy, he was as productive as any offensive third baseman in his time. So I think he was actually pretty good deserving, especially when you kind of look at his WAR and how good of a fielder he was. I think he's right up there with some of the best third basemen all time, but I'm not going to embellish his stats either and say he's one of the best of all time in that position, but I think it's quite deserving. A little story about the card you have right in front of you here. So a couple of years ago, I think this was back in like 2018-19, I was a little bit out of the hobby. I think I had just started getting kind of back in. I wanted to finish up my 1968 top set. And this was right around my birthday. So as I mentioned, my good friend Ravi on the channel before got me a birthday gift that year of a couple unopened boxes. And two of them were actually 1998 Bowman boxes. One was Series 1 and one was Series 2. And so we opened it together that night, and wouldn't you know, the second pack opened in there. The first one that I opened, I think, because we took turns, included the autograph here that we're looking at for you right now. So this is a pack pulled autograph from a 1998 box that wasn't even opened until like 2018, 2019. So it's actually a good card in my collection because it has a good memory attached to it with my good friend. That we both enjoyed the hobby together, and it was a player that I enjoyed watching when I was a little bit younger too. Played for the Cardinals, and eventually I thought he'd be in the Hall of Fame, and look at now, he's actually in the Hall of Fame. So this card's always got a little special place in my heart, and I'm going to put it back here in the background. So what I wanted to show you tonight actually was a Hall of Fame card I picked up recently, and it's actually part of one of my sets. And actually, we're going to stay with the Philadelphia Philly theme tonight and actually going to talk about Hall of Fame pitcher Jim Bunning. So this is a 1964 Topps Giant that you see here before you. So this is actually my second Topps Giants card that I actually have autographed. The first one being, I've showed this before, is the Al Kaline. This one is in a permanent felt pen marker, which is great as opposed to the ballpoint pen that Al Kaline has. So it's his autograph really kind of, obviously stands out there, and it should kind of stand the test of time. It's a PSA authenticated card here, and it's actually a part of now my growing 1964 Topps Giant set. And I probably will, when I see autographs that are affordable, I'm going to try and get them. I know in the Chicago Sports Spectacular, I see that Orlando Cepeda is potentially on the list of people who are going to be doing signings, and I am considering whether I'm going to take a 1964 Topps Giants card when he was with the Giants there to actually get autographed, which I think would be kind of cool to add to my collection there for this particular set. So anyway, with the 1964 Topps Giants sets, this is Jim Bunning. I think that he was moved over to Philadelphia this season. It was part of that historic 1964 team that it was on pace to be able to win the National League pennant, but historically kind of collapsed. And I'm certainly not making fun of them whatsoever, but it's kind of a historic team that lives in infamy if you're a Philadelphia Philly fan. But there was a lot of great players on that team during that time, and Jim Bunning being one of them. So I want to go a little bit over Jim Bunning for those of you who may not be familiar with him. I think people of my age are kind of familiar with Jim Bunning after he played baseball and his place in U.S. Politics, but I think as more people are watching these channels that are younger, don't necessarily remember him as a baseball player and don't remember him necessarily as a politician because he's been out of the game for a little while. So Jim Bunning passed away in 2017 at the age of 85. His active MLB career was from 1955 to 1971. He premiered with the Detroit Tigers in 1955, but you won't find a rookie card until 1957 Topps, which was the first year he won 20 games. He was a 9-time All-Star. He pitched with 4 different teams. The other 2 teams that weren't mentioned were the Pittsburgh Pirates and the LA Dodgers, which were a very brief stint for both. He won 224 wins, had a career ERA of 3.27. At the time of his retirement, he had the second most career strikeout totals at a 2,855 strikeout total. Of course, that's been surpassed by many people since then, but that was quite an accomplishment at that time. He led the league in wins once in 1957 and strikeouts 3 separate times. Never won a Cy Young award, but he did appear in 9 All-Star games. Other things I want to kind of point out, he made it to the Hall of Fame via the Veterans Committee in 1996. Some of his other career accomplishments included a perfect game in 1964, which actually was the first perfect game thrown by any National League pitcher since 1880. 1880. It wasn't the first perfect game since that time, because there was some in the American League. But can you imagine that? That was like probably seen as an impossible feat to be able to accomplish, and now we've had quite a few in the last like 15 years in baseball, as kind of the focus has been trying to strike people out as opposed to pitching to contact, which was kind of more the theme of when Jim Bunning played. His perfect game was actually his second no-hitter. He had a no-hitter in 1958 when he was still with the Detroit Tigers at that point. Was never on a team that made it to the playoffs during his career. After his retirement, he stayed involved with the MLB Players Association, and actually was with Robin Roberts. He and a few others were involved with actually hiring Marvin Miller to represent them. So clearly he had like his part in the history of being able to unionize and being able to kind of fight for free agency is definitely noted by being able to help with that hire. He was a player agent for a little while too after his career. At one point he was like managing 30 players at once. But all during that time, back in his home state of Kentucky, he actually was starting to run for local offices and eventually was part of the state Senate, and eventually moved on to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1986 and later on to the Senate in 1998, all as a Republican. Towards the end of his career, I know he had, as a politician, kind of had some moments where he maybe said some things that possibly might want to have regretted in hindsight. But it was a very popular politician in his state of Kentucky during the time that he served. His seat was, when he vacated his seat, it was actually filled in by current Senator Rand Paul. So just a little bit of history there about Jim Bunning. I'm very happy to be able to pick this one up. He's a very affordable Hall of Fame pitcher to be able to pick up. He's got great cards, some great sets, starting with 1957 Top Set, ending with 1971 Top Set. He's in a Philadelphia Philly uniform in that one. It's a beautiful looking card. If you're able to pick that one up in great condition, he's actually got a Topps Greatest Moments card too. There, that was one I've kind of looked at a few times, being able to maybe add a Greatest Moments card to my collection. And I think Jim Bunning's fairly affordable. And he's got a lot of autographs out there at good prices. He did a lot of signing during his lifetime. So including this one, as you saw before me. So it's a beautiful card. Hope you guys think so too. Let me know in the comments what you think. And I hope you guys have a great weekend.